Okay, so this is episode number 2 where we talk about who needs encouragement. Well, entrepreneurs need encouragement. Today, we're going to talk about what it means to overcome feelings like overwhelm, anxiety, depression, ADD, those kind of things that happen to entrepreneurs on a regular basis. We have so many things to do, so much responsibility on our shoulders that sometimes we feel the pressure. It's part of the job. It's part of what we do. It's part of who we are as entrepreneurs. So in this video, I want to talk about some things that I do personally. Let me just have my disclaimer put up on the board if you need to put it somewhere. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I do have a master's degree, but I won't get into all that. The point is, I am not a professional to tell you what to do in your own personal life. If you're feeling like you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, I'm going to tell you right now, contact some professional. That's very important. Contact a professional, get the help you need. This is for entrepreneurs who feel these things maybe on a regular basis and they just haven't been able to quite get over the hump to get them to the next level. And that's what this is for, to help you get to that next level of success. I kept this board up here and I took away my other board and I even put on a different hat today just to have this totally different than my normal podcast stuff. And I did this because I wanted you to see this board right here. You see all this stuff right here? All this stuff on this bottom corner is stuff I had to do this morning. I went in and talked to my wife at 7 o'clock and I listed 12 things that I had done this morning to get done. Some of those were to fix things that other people didn't get done. Some of those were to better some things that I did not finish up, and some were to catch up on myself. This video, I'll just be honest, I put it off. This is the day before it goes out, and normally I have these things done weeks ahead of time, but I did that because it's hard to do. It's hard to tell these stories. It's hard to admit. As an entrepreneur, as a leader, it's hard to admit that we have tough times too. So I just want you to get real with this. If you're not an entrepreneur, you can still probably get some help in here. And I'm going to have Matthew put some time codes below there when we talk about these different sections, because they are something different. Depression is different than overwhelm. Overwhelm is different than anxiety, and anxiety is different than depression. They're different levels of different things, and all of them work differently. There are some commonalities, and depending on which side you trigger towards, will depend on how you relate to these things. So this is going to be very practical. That's my whole goal here. I'm going to tell you things I've done that help me in these areas, because I've dealt with all of these. I deal with them on a regular basis, but it's part of overcoming. And the thing about it is, entrepreneurs are really tough with this area because they want to be seen as the leader and the responsible person, so they don't want to tell other people about it. My partner didn't know for many, many years that I deal with depression sometimes. He didn't know about that. He's like, I had no idea. I was like, that's because I don't let it out. I deal with it. I keep taking action. I keep pushing through. And that's, you're going to hear a lot all through this. So again, disclaimer, real quickly, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. If you feel like you're going to hurt someone or hurt yourself, please talk to somebody that's a professional. Get the help you need. If yours is so extreme that you cannot deal with life, please, please, please get the help you need. That's going to be my main thing. Now, for the rest of us that are dealing with it, let's talk about some things we can do to keep track of things. Let's see what we can do to kind of deal with these things. My first thing to tell you on all these categories, no matter what you're dealing with, is called a brain dump. A brain dump. Get it out of your head. Write it down. That is so huge. What happens when it gets in our brain is it bounces around in our brain back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we never see the reality of what it really is. This board right here, this board is like 3 foot by 4 foot, I think. One night at 2 a.m., I was so dealing with anxiety. My heart was racing about, 100 beats per second. I actually kind of checked it because I was like, this is kind of crazy. Am I having a heart attack? What's going on? I was dealing with anxiety. I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I just had all these things running around my brain, and I could not sleep, could not get settled. My brain just felt like it was going to explode. My heart felt like it was going to explode, just going all over the place. And it just didn't happen. So what I came in, I looked at this board and it was totally pitch dark. Actually, I don't even think I'll turn the light on this time. I took the board and I wrote, just started writing everything that was in my head, everything I thought I had to do, everything I thought I needed to deal with, all the feelings I was feeling. I wrote them down, and literally that whole board was filled full of things when I got up in the morning. Do you know how freeing that is to get it out of your head? Now, getting it out of your head is step number 1. Step number 2 is to evaluate it. What's important, what's real, and what's imagined. That's so hard as an entrepreneur when you're dealing with overwhelm, anxiety, or even get stuck in depression. Sometimes we overcompensate what's real and what's imagined. We think that these things are so big and so extreme and the whole world's going to hate us and the whole world's going to compound and collapse us in. That's not what it's going to happen. When you're in the valley, remember the peak's coming. Be ready for the peak. Prepare for the peak. Prepare for the next level. So that's the first thing we do. So let's go through these. Let's just go through them specifically, step by step. I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to tell you things I've done personally. I'm going to tell you some little tidbits along the way. Again, these are what I've done to deal with them. So let's start with overwhelm. Overwhelm is probably the easiest one. Overwhelms when you're like me this morning. You have all these hundreds of things you got to get done, and you got to get most of these done before 10 a.m. on a Monday morning. You know the feeling. Or you're thinking about your marketing and you're thinking about, oh, I've got social media I've got to post. And which one of the social medias do I post to? Do I need to write a blog post? Do I need to do this content marketing? Do I need to call these people? And you become overwhelmed. Again, let's write it down. Write down all the tasks that you have to do. You can use a Kanban type system. I use Trello to get things out, and we get them out there, write a list of all the things we have to do, and then we take each little piece off and set it up in its own category. Okay, so what that does, that takes all these things we have to do at once and breaks them into little categories. Okay, why do I do that? Because it's easier to do one thing at a time than trying to think about 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 time things. Okay, do one thing. There's a book out called Eat That Frog. Go read that book. You do one thing, and that gives you a sense of accomplishment. Then you build on that sense of accomplishment. Do one thing next. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed, specifically, what you want to do is prioritize. Which ones are high prioritized, which ones are needed right now, and which ones can be done later on. And so you begin to prioritize them, sometimes using just a Post-it note, taking a Post-it note and writing things down and just putting them in order of what they need to be. Maybe you're more physical, hands-on type stuff. That's okay. Take a little Post-it note, write on your things, and lay them out and coordinate them. Getting it out of your head is crucial step number 1. In our heads, we lie to ourselves. In our heads, we're better than we think we are, and we're worse than we think we are. And when you're feeling overwhelmed, you just don't feel like you have enough time in the day or enough things to accomplish, enough time to accomplish all the things you want to accomplish. Well, I'll tell you right now, you can accomplish it. You were given the opportunity to be in business, and you just got to take one thing at a time. You worrying about it, you feeling the overwhelm doesn't allow you to participate in life. So when you get overwhelmed, your brain literally just locks up and doesn't want to do anything. And you're likely to go watch Netflix or listen to a podcast or do something to make your brain feel better. But making your brain feel better does not accomplish the task you need to accomplish. So pick one thing. If you're overwhelmed with marketing, you think about all the different social media stuff and you don't know which one to be on or which one to do, just pick one and do it. Right now, just go post. Go to social media. Go to Facebook and say, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed today, but you know what? I want to accomplish something great, period. Bam. Take a picture of your face, the big smiley face, hopefully. That's overwhelm. Overwhelm is when the things are piling on and we haven't evaluated or prioritized them. When you evaluate and prioritize them, it helps get it out of your head and get it kind of more refreshed. Next one's anxiety. Oh, anxiety is not fun. Anxiety comes with that brain where he doesn't want to do anything, but also it comes with a body function. You may get jittery. You may get your heart may beat like mine does, and so you don't know what's happening. You feel like something's going on that you can't control. So anxiety is when you take overwhelm and you begin to feel a sense of uncontrolling, and your body begins to react to that. Sometimes it can affect your bowels. Let's just be honest about it. It can affect your eyes. You can begin to respond to things and thinking you're sick, but you're not really sick. It's just the way your body's responding to it. So with anxiety, especially if you're a high anxiety person or it happens a lot for you, is begin to create a pattern in your life. A pattern is hugely important. Get up at the same time, eat breakfast at the same time, go to bed at the same time, eat lunch at the same time, create a schedule so your body knows exactly what's coming next. My wife always hates it, but I'm like, hey, what are we eating for lunch? Hey, what are we eating for supper? I always want to know what's coming next in my food. I know it's a weird thing, but it helps my brain say, oh, I have something coming and I'm not going to starve. So let's talk about anxiety for a minute. When we get stressed, and stress is part of anxiety, stress and overwhelm and anxiety, those kind of fall into each other as far as levels are concerned. But when we get into a realm of like anxiety, our brains We're meant to react to physical danger. So like cats jumping out and attacking us, or falling off a cliff, huge danger, boulders falling on us, all these things. That's how our brains are meant to respond to things. What happens is we look at something, somebody sends us a bad message, or somebody tells us something we don't want to hear, or we look at our bank account and we freak out of how much is in there and how much our bills are, and those things just go, whoa. Well, your brain sees those as danger to your self-being. Do y'all hear me? It's very careful you understand this. Anxiety is when your body is reacting to what it perceives as danger. So when it's reacting to this perception of danger, it's freaking out and your body thinks you're fixing to die, so it's ready to fight or flight. When you pattern your life to know what's coming next, your brain says, oh, it's not that scary because I'm going to eat now, so I know something's comfortable. Oh, it's not that bad because something else is coming. It's the patterns that we get in that helps us overcome anxiety. Now, anxiety can affect your sleep. Then you don't want to sleep. So what do you do in those situations? Or your body can't sleep because of your heart racing going 90 miles an hour. What do you do in those situations? Turn the lights off. Relax. I know it's hard to say. Practice breathing. There's a breathing technique. I think it's a 4-7 or 6-7 or something like that, whichever one works for you. And so you breathe in your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You let that out. Just push it all out, because when you're having anxiety, your breathing is shallower. So you're letting less oxygen into your brain. That's another thing that triggers your body response to that situation. So whatever's triggering that situation, separate yourself from that. Again, write it down, get it out of your head, and realize that is not the end of the world. The world does not end there. You still exist. You still have purpose. You still have a reason to being. So at nighttime, when it's tough and you're feeling these things happen, drink a glass of milk, relax your body, lay down, and just learn relaxation techniques. When I was younger and had to deal with this, I would go through the whole physical body, starting at my toes. I would imagine each part of my muscle, each muscle from the tip of my toes all the way down the tip of my head. I would imagine each muscle tensing and relaxing, tensing and relaxing, tensing and relaxing, tensing and relaxing. What that does, that gives your brain a feeling of control over your physical body. When your brain has control over your physical body, your breathing is calm and regulated, and the oxygen is flowing back into your brain. That anxiety starts to calm down. Turn all the lights off. If it's nighttime, be calm. If you just can't sleep no matter what, find something to read. Read something that's going to be beneficial. And this is huge. And this goes for overwhelm as well. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to where you were a year ago or months ago, 6 months ago. When you start comparing yourself to others, that's where anxiety comes from. Oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and everything. And that's leading us into depression. Depression is that deeper feel. It is where the whole world just feels like it's collapsing in on you. You don't feel like there's anywhere to reach. And that's because you're feeling like everything's against you. You start to compare. Oh, I should be here in life. Look at my friend. He's here in life and I'm way down here. I should be up here. Or you look at all these social media posts of all these people doing wonderful things. And you're like, why can't I be doing all these wonderful things? Why am I the one that's doing this? Why am I the one dealing with this? Why am I the one? Why? It becomes the why game. Be careful about the why game. The why game tells your brain that you're not worthy. You begin to defeat your own confidence by playing the why game. It's a horrible rendition. Now, I'll tell you, when I was in my 20s, I had to deal with depression a whole bunch. There were days where I did not want to get out of bed. There were days I didn't get out of bed. There were days I didn't even see anyone. I lived in a house behind another house, and I laid there in bed one time, and I was like, if I was to die right now, no one would even know about it for months. They probably wouldn't know about it till Christmas or Thanksgiving. That was reality. That's depression. When you feel so overwhelmed, you're not sure where all these things are happening or why they're happening to you, you begin to compare, and you literally, depression is self-hating. You're literally hating yourself. You're hating where you are, what you're doing, and everything. And nothing good comes out of hating yourself. Learn to love yourself. I know that's the hardest thing to say when you're dealing with depression, but let me tell you, when you're depressed, take a moment, separate yourself from yourself, and go do something for someone else. I know it's the hardest thing to do, but do one thing for someone else. Get your mind away from self because you're so busy focused on self that you don't see other people. Go to an elderly home, go help them, go to SPCA, go pet some puppies. Do something for someone else, and you're going to find that you'll see something differently. Now, me personally, I had to write things out, get them out of my head. I had to write all the bad thoughts down. I have a book. I'm not exaggerating. It is this thick. I almost brought it out, but I didn't want you to see it because I don't want somebody to find it later. But it's all the things I felt when I was going through depression. I had to write them down. Again, I had to get it out of my head, my whole train of thought. And I read some to somebody who was dealing with depression recently, and they're like, man, those are dark thoughts. I'm like, exactly. Depression is darkness. Depression is accepting the darkness and telling ourselves that we're okay to be in the darkness. That's not good. Okay, so think about it. Again, all these things go into play. Regular food and sleep patterns. Get some exercise, even if it's just walking down the street. If you're dealing with depression, just walk. Go for a nice walk. And let's talk about music for a minute, because I know a lot of people, when they get depressed, they want to listen to depressing music. That's okay. There are some psychologists, scientists that have studied that said it's okay because you feel like other people are feeling like that. But I want you to be careful about that, because if everybody's commiserating with misery, we're all going to be miserable together. That's not good for depression. You want to see that people are succeeding beyond yourself. You want to see that you have a way to participate in the world around you. So walking, getting around nature, getting some sunlight on your skin, all that stuff is important to help you get out of that false sense of insecurity. And that's what it is. So all these steps, overwhelm, anxiety, depression, any of those things, one thing I will tell everyone they need to put into place is reward system. Put some kind of a reward system in place. If I'm dealing with a really hard thing, so I'm looking at all the stuff right here that I've got to do today, and if I get all this stuff done and I go in tomorrow and I just put another list up there, and then I go tomorrow and I put another list up there, it just is in the cycle of doing, right? But if I do all this stuff and I say, hey, here's all this stuff I've got to get done, now I've accomplished it, now I'm going to reward myself by doing X, Y, Z. It could be going somewhere, doing something. It could be something as simple as dark chocolate. I highly suggest dark chocolate. If you're done with any of these, dark chocolate's awesome. It's low in sugar and high in antioxidants. So it helps your body, helps yourself overcome. But that's a whole other ballgame. So do something physical, get outside yourself and get in the reward system. Now, I do want to talk one more time on a disclaimer. If you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, or you feel like you're going to hurt someone else, please contact the suicide hotline or something, and I'll try to put the number somewhere on here. The world needs you. You're watching this video for a reason. The world needs what you have to offer. It may be a rough time right now. It may be a tough situation in your life. You may be going through things that I can't even imagine, but I will assure you, I've gone through things that you can't imagine. Do you hear me? You're not in this alone. If anybody in the whole world has ever succeeded at doing what you think you want to do, you can too. Zig Ziglar was one of the best ones to talk about that. Because if someone else can succeed, that's just proof that you can too. So you can either choose to accept your excuses and fail, or you can succeed and overcome. You are an overcomer. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm just going to be straight with that. And when I read in the Bible that tells me I am an overcomer through Christ, through his power and his strength working and living inside of me, that is huge. I don't know where you are in your faith system. That's not what this is. This is not a preachy thing, and I hope you don't hear it as such. But have some kind of belief system that gives you that root foundation that answers the questions of whys in the world. Why are we here? What's our purpose? Why do we exist? Why do we work? Have some kind of belief system that's in place. Now, before I end here, I've got one more thing I want to say. If you're dealing with overwhelm, anxiety, depression, any of these kind of things, leave a comment below this video on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you find this, and kind of tell us a little bit about your story. I know you can't tell everything, but just say, hey, I'm dealing with overwhelm. If somebody could tell me I can do better, let me. Don't be afraid of asking for help and everything. If you are one of those people, you're like, you know what? I need somebody to help me take my business next level. The reason I'm overwhelmed, the reason I'm dealing with anxiety and depression is because my business has become a job. It's not a business anymore. Contact a professional. Find a coach that can help you. I can help. If you're looking for ways to automate your business and make things work together and get free publicity and see how social media works, you want to see all that stuff, how that happens together, we have a program we've connected with. I've been studying this business for 4 years now. And for like $2,000, you can have access to a full lifetime supply, basically, of a system that'll help you automate your business and get that overwhelm out of your system. But if you need individualized help, if you just need somebody that'll kind of call you up every once, they'll say, hey, how are you doing? I also offer services in coaching in business specifically. Now, if you need it just for life, if you're not in business, I'll suggest to you some people, but I'm talking specifically to entrepreneurs because that's where my heart is. Not that I don't love everybody else. If you're dealing with those things, man, my heart goes out to you. But I know business owners have a very different view of life. They have a very different perspective. They have a very different way they live life. So it's important to see somebody else who's in that same situation to help you out. That's why I'm saying it that way. I can give you a lot more stories, and I'm going to be doing videos like this. If you guys resonate with this video, if this video communicated to you, if this video helped you whatsoever, please comment. I usually don't ask for comments so much, but just I've so deeply felt the need to communicate about these situations. If you're dealing with overwhelm, anxiety, depression, any of those things, you can overcome it. I may do a video later about ADD. That's a whole nother ball game in and of itself, because that can add to and make these other things even go worse. But look, I've overcome things in my life, and you can overcome too. You've watched this video to this point. Take some step of action. Take time. As soon as you get out of this video, stop it. Get you a piece of paper. Go to Dollar Tree. It costs $1 for a little notebook and $1 for a pen if you don't have something handy. Do not type it. Don't try to type it on your phone. Don't try to type it. I want you to actually physically write it down. Write down a brain dump. Get it out of your head. Begin to evaluate the truth of what it is, not the lies of what your body's thinking it is because of its reaction to it. Okay? So hopefully that'll help you out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I'm Lyle. Join us for Optimize Profitability. You're going to hear other entrepreneurs sharing their stories of what they're coming up. As a matter of fact, the one we have coming this next week, she talks about how curiosity helped her overcome overwhelm. So hope you join us. Bye.